Nice to meet you, Kate. Let's jump right to the film, Love and Friendship. I had a chance to see it a couple of days ago with some friends and absolutely loved it. Very witty, very intelligent. Can you explain to the audience a little bit around, what was appealing about the film to do it, and how this appeals a little bit to a broader audience than obviously just Jane Austen fans?
I think what was so amazing, I couldn't, when I got sent the script, I think I was doing a film in Bulgaria and wasn't really told very much about it and just was sent the script. And I really couldn't believe that this really was actually based on a real Jane Austen novella, because it felt so extreme and so funny. And I'd not, in my limited travels with Jane Austen, come across it being, nearly so kind of envelope pushing, actually, as it is. And I think I called my agent and said, is there somebody who's written something in the style of Jane Austen, or is this actually Jane Austen? It says Jane Austen on the front. So I think people who are expecting a Jane Austen sort of rather sedate movie with a lot of, walks in the garden and people falling madly in love, it's not really like that. It's a proper belly-laughing.
Right. Yeah, great film. You were brilliant in it. It's just
thanks.
Fantastic. It actually made me want to go back, and I watched Cold Comfort Farm and Last Days of Disco. And it was very interesting because I look at some parallels, and it was apparent that you seem to be a master at playing sort of on-screen manipulators in some way, right? And so do you see that as well, and what draws you to those types of characters?
I think what I like is that they've, all of those parts, which I've been so lucky to get a couple of, they've got a kind of charm that is sort of despite their base natures, some of them, or they're irritating, or they're meddlesome, or they're tricky, and as an actor, it's just lovely to have all of those different colours to play with,
That's right. And one of the biggest deceptions in film history is, and I know you're a fan of the film, is All About Eve.
Oh, that's my favourite film.
Brilliant film, obviously, and I sort of think about the deception in that movie and some of the deception in Love and Friendship. Is this in some ways your All About Eve?
I suppose, except that the character that I'm most excited by in All About Eve is obviously Margot, and she's the one that's really screwed over. So.
And how would you sort of compare and contrast, let's say, Margot, Eve, and Lady Susan, and who's the most deceptive or cunning?
Eve's the worst person in the whole world. No, I think Lady Susan is probably a reasonable mix of Margot and Eve, which is quite nice for me, since that's my favourite.
I'd watched the Salt Lake Comic-Con, and you'd mentioned that you know a couple of verses from Busta Rhymes, Chris Brown's Look at Me Now. Would you bust a few rhymes for us now?
Unless you're really good at beatboxing, I probably won't. That's the sort of prize for going out to karaoke with me.
Right, yeah,
so
exactly.
If we ever do that,
yes,
you're very welcome to.
Yes. Talk to me a little bit, we'll lighten it a little bit. Corsets seem to follow you around from movie to movie. It's incredible. Yeah. And if you could turn the tables on one of your co-stars and have one of the guys wear a corset, jam them into it for a day or a week, who would that be?
I'd say almost any male action star, I think I would like to go. I just want to see how tough you feel doing this, where you actually can't breathe past the bottom of your throat.
Sure.
It's. I don't think people realise. You're immediately out of breath. If you got no breath, it's hard to get up.
Right.
Corsets are very restrictive. It's why we don't wear them anymore.
That's right.
Although the waist trainer is back just to oppress women, even.
When I look at the film and just getting in and out of those, is it just me, or were those carriages very small? Maybe that's why they made people wear corsets, but it looked like almost the carriage the size of Cinderella's the mouse going into the carriage.
There's just no room inside the carriage. You'd see these scenes where it's several people in the carriage. How on earth is that going to work? 'Cause it's a bit like sardines,
Right.
I think people must have been a lot shorter.
Yeah. That's right. Well,
several hundred years ago.
It's good to have a corset on that.
Yeah, I don't know. 5'8" women vaulting into carriages, I think. Bad idea.
And what was it like reuniting with, Chloe and Whit Stillman? Was that
it's amazing. It feels like such an amazing treat to be able to get to do that. Your career's sort of coming full circle after a really long gap. And it was a special movie, the movie I did with the two of them first, because I'd really never been to America much, and I'd certainly not worked there. I'd not had to do an American accent or anything like that. So I was very nervous about going, and I think had quite a lot of anxiety about it. And then fell in love with New York and ended up living in New York for a while. And so it did kind of really shape. I made, some really close friends who are still best friends now. It really kind of did shape the next part of my life. And then to be able to kind of go back and and this time be sort of a bit more on my territory.
Right, exactly,
Quite
exactly.
good, yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's great meeting you. The film is brilliant. You're brilliant in it, and we all look forward to seeing it when it comes out.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Nice
much.
to meet you. Thanks.